So now that Terrifier 2 is out on home release, we can go back and spot some of those Easter eggs, references, and cameos that we weren't able to spot before in the movie theater. So first off, I've been sick the last couple days, so my voice isn't up to par, but I'm still going to try to string this video together the best that I can. So thank you guys for bearing with me. First off, I want to cover the cameos that I spotted, and around the same time, actually, around a half hour into the film, Griffin Santo Pierto is spotted in the movie as one of the kids picking on the dead possum, which you may know him from Cobra Kai as Anthony LaRusso. Well, this is an interesting cameo because Cobra Kai is obviously stemming from a very 80s property of the Karate Kid, which Terrifier 2 is taking great inspiration from that generation, that decade, with those slasher movies that came out in the decade, so that was a nice touch. As well as that, Felissa Rose plays a teacher in the same scene, actually. You may know Felissa Rose, especially if you're a horror fan, as Angela from Sleepaway Camp. She was the main character of that film, so this was another great cameo as a horror fan to see. One that I did not originally notice, but when I looked deeper into it, I figured out was Tamara Glenn as the woman who brought her son to the shop after Art the Clown killed the clerk that worked there. Horror fans may know her from Halloween 5. She was Samantha in that film, who was killed by Michael Myers inside the barn, so that was another cameo that I thought would be worth mentioning. And then, of course, my favorite cameo, Chris Jericho as the orderly in the last scene, the post-credit scene. I'm a huge WWE fan, wrestling fan, so just seeing him, he's on AEW now, but seeing Chris Jericho in this movie was a pleasant surprise. I mean, I guess it wasn't a surprise because that kind of got leaked before the movie came out, but it was still cool to see. We're getting a lot of wrestling horror crossovers lately, especially with Liv Morgan appearing on the Chucky TV series this last week. That was good to see, and I enjoyed that. Something that I found was a neat callback, not just to the movie itself, but also to the original All Hallows Eve, was that Sienna's mother was watching Night of the Living Dead, which actually the children in the original All Hallows Eve were watching, so that's almost like a double meta reference. You have a reference on top of another reference, so I thought that was pretty neat. In addition to that, in the store, you see Art the Clown spinning around a toy, and this was most certainly a reference to Tim Curry's Pennywise from It in 1990. Both killer clowns. This reference struck a chord, and I knew that it looked familiar, but also knew it wasn't a coincidence, because, come on, I've never seen that toy anywhere else in my entire life, so that had to be what they were getting at there. Most of the references and kind of homages that I caught in this movie were most certainly to do with Nightmare on Elm Street, in specific more like Nightmare on Elm Street 3. This movie definitely took a lot of inspiration from them. There's a lot of 80s synth music, as well as motifs and certain aspects of it. I could be drawing too far, but there's a scene where Jonathan is running through the hallway, and then the principal stops him and tells him to stop running in the hallway. I took that as a Nightmare on Elm Street reference, but maybe I'm just stretching too far. You have several dream sequences where you kind of see Sienna fade into a dreamlike state with supernatural consequences, where certain actions in the dream world impact the real world, like how her wings were set on fire while Art was setting fire to her dream. It shows that reference, and that the consequences of the dream world have consequences in the real world, which I found interesting. As well as that, you also have a scene where, I don't know if it was intentional, but Sienna is duped by her dead parent, her dead mother, just like how Nancy was duped by her dead father, who wasn't actually her father at the end of Nightmare on Elm Street 3, where it's actually Art just trying to manipulate her, or maybe she was in a haze, not exactly sure, but I still found that to be a reference where them being allured by their dead parent, but it's actually the killer. One more thing I could be reaching for, there's scenes where the little pale girl's eyes kind of glow up, and it reminded me of scenes in It. Maybe it's just because they're clowns with glowing eyes in the dark and stuff, but that was something that kind of visually reminded me of that, so that was something that I thought of as soon as I saw that. Hope you guys enjoyed my video. Sorry about my voice. See you next time.